Okay, let's start. So, today, boys and girls, we are covering narrative comprehension skills. More specifically, we are covering a very particular type of questions, a very particular type of question, sorry, and it's the literal understanding one. Now, out of all your questions, right, for narrative comprehension, the literal understanding one is the easiest, but you should not underestimate the difficulty because number one, the answers could be found in more than one place. Number two, you might have to rephrase the ideas yourself because you can't copy the ideas directly, right, as your answer because the question might be asking for a very specific element in the passage. And number three, you need to know which parts are relevant to the question to answer it and which parts are irrelevant. Because if you included too many words that are not relevant to the question, right, you still get the question wrong, 0 marks. All right, it's called access denied. So that's our way of marking. There's this particular thing over here. If you see your teacher write this, all right, on your script for some questions, that actually means you have written too many words for the answer. It demonstrates to us that you don't really know where the answer is, or maybe you don't know how to pick out the important parts that are relevant to the question only, and therefore you don't get any marks for that question. All right, if you see this phrase access denied. Okay, so Bernie is here. Let me just take attendance very quickly. Is Manushri and Yancy here? Manushri, Yancy, no. Okay, that's fine. Hi, Bernie. Can you turn on your camera, please? Hey, Wesley. Thank you for turning yours on as well. And hi, Ruthra. Can you turn on your camera as well? Cheers. Okay, so let's start. These are the house rules. Basically, for the trial students, it's compulsory to turn on your video and leave your microphone muted. If you want to ask me anything, just send me a message through the group chat. And basically, if you need to go to the toilet, send me a message via chat. If there's anything that's really urgent, right, just raise your hand on Zoom. There's a hand raising function. Use that, and then I will call on you and you can unmute yourself. Yeah. But apart from that, just be respectful of your fellow students and me, okay? So we'll be covering narrative comprehension mostly today if we have spare time, which I don't think we do because I think we're covering 20 questions. We'll talk about current affairs, which would be about things that are happening these days, some really juicy ones. Have you guys heard about the news of the man who stabbed himself at Sembawang at Sun Plaza? Have you heard that news? It's quite scary, isn't it? He was like muttering something to himself and then he started to like take a knife and just stab himself. You know, it sounds freaky, like he was in some kind of trance or something. Maybe he was being possessed or something. I have no idea. But yeah, I mentioned that because I went to Sun Plaza today and I was at the exact spot where he stabbed himself and I was thinking, ooh, okay, that must have hurt. And the next thing I thought was, ooh, why did he do it? Just weird. Oh, Ruswa's camera is not working. That's fine. Okay. So let's cover the narrative comprehension first. And the basis of all narrative comprehensions, right, is actually understanding it deeply. So, believe it or not, your narrative comprehension, right, which is your section B in your paper two, your section C is your informational comprehension, also known as your non-fictional comprehension, right? Narrative is actually tougher than your section C because section C they are giving you facts like real things about this world, like real stuff, and you can normally answer the questions quite directly. But for narrative, right, they're telling a story, so they could actually test you on things like character relationships. What do you think this person meant when this person said this? Why did the author describe this part like that and stuff like that? So it can get quite complicated. So it's always a good idea to slow down when you're reading your narrative comprehension passage in order to understand the finer points of the passage in the first place. So that the advice that I always give to students, if you want to read one that's slower, you should read the narrative comprehension passage slower rather than the section C one slower. Okay? So like what I said, a literal understanding question is one that you have to get the answer directly from the passage. Like almost as if you can copy the answer directly, kind of thing. You won't get your points penalized unless your question actually states there in your own words. So if your question has the phrase in your own words, right, you can't use the nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives in the passage where that answer is from, that part of the passage. Apart from that, technically you can copy that part, okay, but the issue is, can you copy the important parts only and leave out the parts that are not so important? So that's the skill that you need to have for literal understanding questions. All right, so normally it's straightforward. You have to identify the details in the passage, the details in the question, and then from the details in the question, you identify the details in the passage for your answer. All right, and it's stated explicitly. Explicitly means it's right there. The opposite of the word explicitly, right, is metaphorically. When I say that something is explicit, I mean that it explains step by step. It's very clear. I mean what I say, kind of thing. Versus metaphorical, where there's like a different alternate meaning. Okay. So another word that we can say for explicitly is literally. All right, that has the same meaning. All right. So moving on. So these are some question words that are commonly used. Oh, here comes Jackie Alex. I don't have a Jackie Alex in my class. Who is this? Madam Chen. Who's Jackie Alex? Anyway, here are some common question words used in literal understanding questions. But trust me, you won't see any who questions. You won't see any when questions or any where questions. These will only appear when you're in lower primary. Yeah, it's too easy. Like, where did blah blah blah, or when did this person blah blah, that kind of thing. If you find any of these questions, right, you can thank your lucky stars because your teacher is being easy on you. It's going easy on you. All right. Normally, for literal understanding questions, right, we normally have why questions asking you for a reason, or how questions asking you for the process about how something was done, like step by step. Yeah, that's what how questions are for. And we have what questions. What questions are basically wild cards. They can be asking you about anything. Okay, so normally we have these three that we see more commonly in literal understanding questions in lower secondary. I think it's the same for upper sec as well. So, like for example, here's an example. If we look at this paragraph, the scarcity of childcare support today, scarcity meaning rarity, right? It's quite hard to find, right? Scarcity means rarity, and it means quite hard to find. The scarcity of childcare support today and the increasing cost of living has decreased the interest level to have babies today. For people whose annual income is often below the subsistence level, the yearning to change one's life by having a child is something that they do not see as a priority. Should be the word oh, okay. Okay, so what is subsistence? All right, subsistence comes from the word subsist, and subsist means, all right, to barely survive. So you are subsisting on something, it means you're barely surviving on something. You're just, spending all your money on surviving, like buying food and then, getting like paying the money for your house, that kind of thing, because you need shelter, and then, getting clothes, that kind of thing, getting water. So that's like subsistence. You're subsisting yourself, all right? So that's subsistence. And then yearning basically is a desire. You yearn for something, you desire for something. Okay? Let me just turn off the annotation for everyone. Welcome to the class, Jackie Alex. Can I just confirm who you are, because I don't have you on my attendance list. Are you known by any other name? Jackie Alex, are you there? Yes, okay, you're there. So what name did you register on 88 Tuition for? Let me just ask the admin very quickly. You could have jumped on board like at the last minute kind of thing. Parents ask you to join. Okay, you just ask them. Uh, Okay, there's a exactly my class. My class is all right. Yeah, go ahead, Richard. Oh, your parent recommended you to join. Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay. So let's continue this part over here. So it asks you, what makes one decrease the interest to have children today? Well, this is a literal understanding question, but it's tough because we realize what? We realize that the answer comes from a few parts over here. So the question is, can you pick out the parts that are important? Can you leave out the parts that are not so important? All right. So let's have a look. There are multiple things that makes people have no interest to have children these days. So the first thing that we can identify over here would be, number one, it's very hard to find childcare support. All right. Number two, increasing cost of living has decreased the interest level to have babies today. Oh, I think I overthought the question. So it's actually just these two. Right? I don't need to talk about people subsistence like people living on subsistence levels, people not seeing it as a priority and stuff like that. Because the first sentence here literally has that part, right, where the keywords are found. So the keywords are decrease interest, have children. So we have the same thing. Decrease interest, have babies. Same thing. So I can technically just write, my answer in directly. So I can just like literally copy this part. The scarcity of childcare support and the increasing cost of living and then I'll have the rest over here. That's basically the question root words, right? So makes blah blah blah, which is this part here. Makes one decrease the interest to have children today. This part, yeah. So quite direct. Answer from two parts over here. Next, given these technological advances, have we become stronger and better in our communication skills? Many times people at dining tables, yes, you're correct, Richard, cost of living, yep. Given these technological, have we become stronger and better in our communication skills? Many times people at dining tables spend time on their phones instead of communicating with each other as the quality of family life decreased. Isn't technology supposed to improve communication? Too much time spent on technological gadgets such as computers and electronic devices have caused users to retreat into seclusion and be uninterested in communicating with others. So here, very direct as well. Why has technology affected people's communication skills? You can find the answer here, right? So why has it affected the communication skills? So the clue keywords here would be affected people's communication skills. Where do we see that? Blah, blah, blah. Have we become better? So communication skills affected. I can't really find the word affected, so I don't think it's one of the words that we should look for. But why has technology? There we go. So I think this part is a bit too long. We might need to put the answer in like more succinct words, and this is where we have to rephrase because there are a few reasons why technology has affected people's communication skills. So the first one would be people at dining tables spend time on their phones instead of communicating with each other. All right, that's one. And thus, it has actually caused users to retreat into seclusion and become uninterested in communicating with others. So this could be potentially number two, depending on how many marks